processing your work visa, you need to get a job first. You can only get a work visa if you have a job, if you've gotten a job offer in a Russian company, right? And before you go to the embassy to apply for your visa, your work visa, you need to also get an invitation letter from the company that has offered you a job. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Funto. I'm a Nigerian living and studying in Moscow, Russia. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, shakara for you. And if you're a returning subscriber or this is your second time seeing my face on this channel, jingle bell for you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining and clicking this video. This video is going to be very different from my regular videos because when I wear glasses, it's about to be serious business. Right, so let me adjust my glasses. Anyways, it's about to be a serious business today. I'm going to be talking about the other routes that you can use to come to Russia aside from school. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? You heard me right. There's this misconception that the only way you can enter Russia is through school. No, please. I beg to differ. I think that's the English, that's the word. Actually, beg to differ. And to be honest, the only route to come to Russia is not just through the school route. I actually also found out, and I'm like, I cannot be selfish. Let me come and tell my people that would want to come to Russia, that are interested in coming to Russia, but I don't want to study. And that is why I'm here, to give you guys the tea, and the tea. Nothing but the tea. Alright? And this particular video, I made enough research. I asked people that came in through this route. Fasten your seatbelt. Let's get started without further ado. So in today's video, like I stated, I'm going to be talking about the work visa route for you to come to Russia. I'm going to be focusing on the HQS side because I think that's what everybody wants, and that's what everybody wants to come in through, because nobody wants to come and stay for like 3 months, 6 months. The goal is to come, start a family here. If you want to start a family, get to greener pasture here if that is why you're coming. And that is why I'm here. Questions I got, I divided them into 4 categories. The first category is the general inquiries. The second one is job sponsorship and job market. The third one is logistics and practicalities. The fourth one is current situation in Russia. And people that ask me questions about current situations in Russia, be honest. Obviously, I'll be honest. I will not lie to you people. I think we should start with the general inquiries first. So the first question under the general inquiries: what types of work visa are available in Russia and which might be suitable for my profession, tech? I think this person is in tech industry and we are trying to like find out what. 1 second guys, in case you're hearing noise in the background, they are packing the snow, so it's a bit loud and noisy and all that. Sorry. There are 2 types, literally 2 types of work visa: the single entry visa, work visa, and then the HQS visa. Single entry work visa, regardless of what you're coming to do in Russia, even if it's that you're coming to work in a salon or something, you're coming here to work, that kind of visa is for you. So once you come here, I think the visa is probably valid for like 45 days. Then during this period, during these 45 days, your employer gets to convert this visa to a multiple entry work visa, which means you can go out and then you can come in, right? And then the HQS visa, which is the highly qualified specialist visa, is the type of visa that, as name implies, qualified specialist. People that comes in through this particular visa route are like people that are in high demand in Russia. For instance, operation specialists, which includes directors, managers, presidents of organizations, and all of that. Those are the people that come through that route. Then the other set of people that are coming through this route are like the engineers, those in the tech industry, also teachers, also medical practitioners coming through HQS visa. You'll be wondering why teachers are under HQS visa, right? Because they are in high demand here in Russia. They are trying to include English language into their system, and people do not speak English, obviously, so they need native speakers. And most time they don't consider Africans as native speakers. The only African country they consider as a native English speaker is South Africa, which I don't understand why, but that's their business. So if you're coming as an English teacher, you need to know your onions. You need to know what and how. Do you understand? So that they don't just sideline you because you're not from South Africa or the other well-known English-speaking countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and United Kingdom. Do you understand? And for the HQS visa, according to my source that came in through this work route, it also mentioned that your company should be worth at least 2 million rubles before they can give you an HQS visa. So if you're coming to teach in a school, the school should be worth 2 million rubles. And the minimum wage they should pay you is 167,000 rubles. Like, that's the least they should pay you. I think that's one of the benefits of the HQS visa. For the HQS visa, who are the people that can employ HQS? Right? Who are the people that can employ highly qualified specialists? National organizations like big companies, let's say for instance Yango, PwC, KPMG, those big companies, right? Big commercial companies, banks, they are the ones that can employ HQS. Accredited Russian scientific organizations, universities can also employ HQS. Professional educational organizations can also employ HQS. Medical organizations can also employ HQS. Branches of companies or representative of countries and companies can also employ QS. For instance, there's a company in Nigeria, right, that wants to start a branch here in Russia. They can employ HQS. Then non-commercial sports organizations can also employ HQS, like get footballers from outside of the country to come and play for the country. What are the advantages of HQS, right? It's very fast. It's very easy to process. It takes 5 working days to 14 working days to be out. So the whole process takes like 5 to 14 working days. You don't need an extra permit to move around in Russia. Like, you don't need all this. You don't need to have residence permits to live in Russia, if that makes sense. But you can apply for residence permit while on your HQS visa, right? So for instance, I have an HQS visa. It's not a must that I have a residence permit, but if I want to apply, I can apply for residence permit. Another advantage of the HQS visa is for that you can come with your family. Unlike student visa or other kind of visas, you can come with your family under the HQS visa, and you can also apply for residence permit for them. On the website, it says you do not have to prove your level of Russian language. But I'm going to be honest with you, we're in a country where your education does not really matter, right? You need to be able to bring something to the table. So if I'm employing you, you need to be able to speak my country's language. So whether they say it's compulsory or it's not compulsory, try as much as possible to know a little bit of Russian language. Like you can communicate, you can get around, figure your way around in the country. Do you understand? Another advantage is the fact that you have uniform tax with every other person, which is 13%. I think Russia has like the least tax in Europe, maybe in the world actually. 13% is very low. So another question is, what are the general requirements for me to apply for HQS? General requirement for you to apply for HQS: you have to have your police clearance, you have to have your international passport, you have to have your police clearance should also be legalized at your Ministry of Foreign Affairs in your country. You have to have your medical certificate that shows that you are HIV negative, that also shows that you are actually good, like good. You don't have COVID, you don't have any trace of any infectious disease that can spread around when you come into the country. All this document needs to be legalized in your Ministry of Foreign Affairs or authorized at your Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ensure that these documents are stamped or sealed. If they are not stamped or sealed, to be honest, I can talk for Nigeria, right? If these documents are not stamped or sealed, they will not legalize in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So ensure that any document you collect are stamped or sealed. Any document you are taking to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for authorization needs to be stamped or sealed. Then you also need a translation of your international passport, the data page of your international passport, which also needs to be stamped so that when you take to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they can authorize it as original as well. You also need a passport size photograph that you put on your application, obviously. This is even like a very general thing. You need enough for passport photograph for you to be able to apply for your visa at the Russian embassy. What are the estimated costs associated with obtaining a work visa in Russia? It would cost you an approximate of 18,000 rubles. And as at today that I'm having this conversation with you, the exchange rate is around 14 naira. So 18,000 times 14. Let's do the math. 18,000 times 14. Do the math. But if I remember, I'll put it on the screen. But like that's what you need. 18,000 rubles. Please note that when you are starting this whole process of applying for HQS visa, have at the back of your mind that you have to have a job. Like get a job with a Russian company first, or any organization in Russia first. I hope we know and we are clear. So you notice that Funto said disclaimer, please. I think that's that on general inquiry. So we'll move to the next section that I divided these questions into. The second one is the job market and sponsorship. So the first question is, which industries and regions in Russia offers the most work visa and work opportunities for foreigners? I would say Moscow. There are other cities in Russia, obviously, but I would say Moscow is more flexible and it's easier to get a job in Moscow than other cities. Maybe St. Petersburg, maybe, I don't know. But these two cities, you are most likely to get a job. Also, go with your letter of invitation. When you are going to the embassy to apply for your visa, go with your letter of invitation that you got from the company, right? And please pay attention to every single details, the spelling of your name in Russian and all of those things. And medical tests are covered by the companies, right? You do the medical test, right? Follow all the things I've said, but then it's being handled by the company. The passport photograph also has like a specific dimension, a specific size that you should follow. So pay attention to every single details on the website of your company or the Russian immigration border. So I'm talking about regions that provide work visa, right? Which job sectors? To be honest, majorly ITs, medical organizations and schools provide HQS visa. Some other sectors can do that, right? But majorly these people, even banking sector. But in the banking sector, like they are looking for the IT people, like back end developers, front end developers, all those people, and engineers. So that's that. But you can search on like the job website. We don't have other countries that have like sectors where they are looking for people. They don't have that in Russia. You just have to go to like the job website and you call HRs and just make inquiries literally. And for the schools, like I mentioned, that it's pretty tricky because they don't regard Africans as native English speakers. They would rather employ people from Australia and New Zealand, like I mentioned earlier. But it's, if you know how to like get your way around, there are some jobs that if you want to take them, you would not use your normal Nigerian accent. You're going to use like you may like just tuition up your accent a little bit. And I have so experience, because it's important that if you're coming to teach in Russia, you should have enough experience in big schools in Nigeria or in any country you're coming from, especially if you're African. If you're sharp from all the people that were colonized, they don't regard us as native English speakers. So let me put that out there. Someone, how can I find companies in Russia that would sponsor me? First, I will tell you to pray and like be intentional with your prayers. That matters a lot. Be intentional with your prayers. It would not make sense if you come to Russia to just get any kind of job, because you're trying to get an HQS visa because to work in a sector that you love and you would enjoy working for a long time, right? So you don't want to just come to Russia because you want to come to Russia's sake. Be intentional, pray about it, go to job websites, or tell yourself, oh, this is the sector I want to go and work in Russia. If it's the IT sector, so good thing is job portal in Russia divides their job opportunities in sectors, right? So if it's the IT sectors, focus on the IT sectors, right? like filter your search to IT sectors and look at all the companies, registered companies in Russia, and be clicking them. Anyone that align with your goal, with your values, click them. Go to their career section. Always like an HR to contact or something. You make a call, send an email. Oh, this is what I want to do. I'm looking forward to apply for the HQS visa. Do you offer the HQS visa? Da 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 da. And most time, registered organizations in Russia will always give you, most times give HQS visa to foreigners or expatriates, as the case may be. What factors are considered by companies when deciding to sponsor a work visa for a foreign employee? See, for Russians, I know they have a bias with people that speak Russian. So first thing first, as much as the website says that you don't have to prove your level of Russian language, you should know at least an intermediate level of Russian language to be able to convince your employers that, oh yes, I'm not just coming because I want to come. I have something I'm bringing to the table aside from my skills. I also know your language and all of those things. So they look at your language, right? They look at your previous work experiences and your background. So you need to also have a good slate in your former place of work, because you would need references. And how good would this referee speak for you when you're not there? What are the average salaries and working conditions like for foreign employees in Russia? So if you come through via the HQS visa, I mentioned this earlier, the minimum salary they can pay you is 167,000 rubles. 167,000 rubles. That's the minimum they should pay you. They are allowed to pay you more than that. At the school I was working before I started working in this particular school, they were paying the native English speaker, because they don't consider me, and they don't consider we Africans, like I said earlier. So they're paying the native English speaker, because he's British, they're paying 300,000 rubles. So, but the minimum they should pay is 167. 167,000 is still enough for you to like live a very comfortable life here in Russia, in Moscow especially, because Moscow is like the most expensive city. If you're paying for an apartment of 70,000 rubles, and you do groceries of like 7,000 a month, that's like 67,000. So you still have enough money to be able to like go around. And most time these organizations pay for your holiday trip to and from. They also pay for your medical insurance. They also cover, some organizations cover your transport fare, to be honest. So the other section I have is logistics and practicalities. Do I need to have a job offer before applying for the work visa, or can I start searching for employment after arriving in Russia? Unfortunately not. You have to get a job in Russia before you start applying for the visa. Because how do you want to go to the embassy and say you want to apply for a visa if you don't have a job? Because before you go to the embassy to apply for a job, you need to have an invitation letter, and before you can get an invitation letter, it means you have to get a job in a company first. What are the housing options available for foreigners in Russia, and what are the associated costs? So you can get an apartment. That's a big word. You can get like a place to sleep. I don't know. You sure can get like an house. You can get a place for like 50,000 rubles ish, but it's going to be just you. If it's just you, 50,000 ish should be enough for you. Get an apartment of 50,000 rubles. That will be good, classy, and good for your taste, to be honest. And it also depends on the region where you are looking for an apartment. And there are like housing websites where you can get. I'll put everything in the description box. What is the healthcare system in Russia like, and how can I access medical care on work visa? I already said this too earlier. I don't know why I want to be like ahead of myself. Anyways, healthcare system in Russia is very good. I don't like the fact that with medical insurance you don't get medicines. That's my only problem. But aside from that, they have a very good healthcare system, and the company that is hiring you, most times, about 85% of the time, are responsible for medical insurance. So you have access to like good medical care. So your companies are literally like responsible for your health and everything. What are the cultural considerations and language learning resources available for foreigners moving to Russia? So if you're coming to Russia, right, you get a job already, and then you're thinking of, oh, how do I blend in? How do I start speaking the language? Some schools, a lot of schools, right, have like something they call PADFAC, preparatory language school for foreigners, where you learn Russian for at least 6 months, but as high as a year, 6 months to 12 months, literally. You get sorted. Some companies can pay for that for you to learn Russian. Sometimes you can pay on your own. I think the cheapest I've heard about for a year is like 50 something thousand rubles. How has the current geopolitical situation in Ukraine impacted the work visa process and opportunities in Russia? It hasn't affected it in any way. I think, to be honest, the propaganda out there is just too much, that people think that there's nobody living in Russia and Ukraine anymore, which is kind of ridiculous. But if you are not from countries that sanctioned Russia and Russia has served them back, you're good to go. You can apply for your work visa and still come to Russia. Russia is pretty much as safe as US is, if we are being honest. So you're good. If you come to Russia, you are safe. Everybody's leaving, everybody's going about their daily activities like nothing is happening in the world. And I mean, everybody's feeling the inflation aside from that. But aside from that, we're all good. And then the last question is, what is the climate like in Russia? So Russia has, like, obviously the summer, spring, autumn, winter season, and it's always very cold in winter, always very cold, and the peak is always like December, January. Well, like this year, what you call, because we're like -42 this year, so we can go as high as -45, -50. It depends on the city where you get your job as well. Some cities are warm throughout the year. Some cities are extremely cold throughout the year. That is snowing all through the year. But in all of this, the most important thing for you is to study the city you're going to ahead of time and prepare for it. If it's going to be summer all through, I mean summer in quotes, if it's going to be like Nigeria kind of African kind of weather all through, then you're good to go. If it's going to be winter, summer, spring, autumn all through the year, then prepare for every season. And if it's going to be snowing all through the year, prepare for that as well. And I think with that brings us to the end of today's video. But please, please do not forget to like, do not forget to share, do not forget to subscribe, and turn on the post notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video, so that you know, because now I try to be consistent and I pray my phone doesn't mess me up again, so you get notified every time I post new videos, because now I'm going to post a lot of videos these days and I don't want you guys to miss out on anything. So guys, bye.